October is here with the new 40,000 gem giveaway. 5 lucky winners will each win 8,000 gems. Any platform can win. Enter in the description down below. Hello everybody, we are here with your Rama guide. We'll be playing Rama in the duel lane as an ADC. Rama is a hunter, and while some hunters work quite well in the mid lane, Rama not so much one of those hunters. Definitely a very late game oriented hunter, with the notable exception that he has really good early game clear. A lot of times late game hunters will not have particularly good early game clear, but Rama does. So we're going to be starting off with our Hunter's Blessing, our tier 1 going into Devourer's Gauntlet, which you pretty much always get in the dual lane, 2 health potions, 2 multi-pots, and our beads, putting out a little ward just to make sure we don't get invaded on our purple. So for Rama, we're going to talk about his passive and his 1 kind of together. So your 1 is a self buff. For all intents and purposes, it's basically a stim. It's a toggle effect that you put on you, and you're going to use these arrows that you see below. So I've got 5 arrows in my quiver right now. What those arrows are going to do is they're going to make my auto attacks go through targets. So you can see they become larger in size, and I am hitting multiple targets at the same time. So this is going to make your arrows piercing. It is going to give them a little bit of extra damage, and it is also going to give them a small slow effect as well. That's actually pretty troll right there of blue to do that. And by pretty troll, I mean that's like a really troll Nike play right there. But I'm gonna get pretty big off of this. So your 1 is the ability that you're gonna grab at level 1. And you're also going to max it first. That percent slow doesn't go up, but that bonus damage does go up every time you put a point into it. So you have to factor in that you can do 5 autos with this. So times that damage by 5 on top of your base damage for your autos. That's actually hilariously annoying. So now to our passive. So for our passive, you got this quiver that we talked about. That's this guy down here. That quiver is going to generate arrows every 12 seconds. It'll replace one. Each basic attack reduces the time to generate an arrow by 2 seconds. The first fire... Oh, actually, we got a little gank going on right here. 1 sec, we're going to try to get involved. We're going to just clear this wave as much as we can while we're holding down basically the W key. I'm going to bring myself right on in, grab my 2 for that bonus attack speed. Pop, pop, pop. Channel my inner Barakakuda. And bada bing, bada boom, we get ourselves some sweet, sweet kills. So back over to our passive. The first time a fired astral arrow hits an enemy, it has a chance to drop to the ground. That means you've got a % chance to be able to just simply pick back up the arrow and not have to wait that time for it to regenerate. You always want to keep as many arrows, of course, in your quiver as you can, so try to pick them up. You'll also get that little bit of sustain for your mana. The ability that we grabbed, actually, we should talk a little bit more about the 1 before I move on, because the 1 is a little bit more detailed. So with your 1 as well, damage from this ability is reduced to 75% for each enemy hit after the first hit. So you are not getting a total 100% damage, but you are getting a lot of damage off of this ability. So I wouldn't let that deter you from using it in that manner. And you can also stack this slow up to 3 times. So the slow is 10%, but it can stack up to 3 times, being that 30% slow. The slow doesn't last very long, so it's actually pretty difficult to get it stacked up like that. The slow lasts for 1.5 seconds. But if you're hitting all your arrows in a row, you can. To the rescue. Moving on now that we're past his passive and his 1, which really is the main part of Rama Kit. So that's the part we should have taken the most time on anyway. We get our 3 at level 2. This is our Getaway skill on Rama. This is a directional roll, meaning that I can go back, left, back, right, up, left, up, right. So if I want to go back, left, I press the left key and the down key at the same time, and I'll do a little back, left roll. So this is a 8-way directional ability. for all intents and purposes, this is basically the exact same ability that Thoth has on Thoth 2. Same exact idea. If you can use one, you can use the other. Grabbing our Devo glove so we can get this stacking up as we head back over to the lane. We waited just a moment there to get enough gold. Not only is this going to be a directional dash, though, this is also going to give you some extra damage on your next auto attack. So you can see that this line pops up. I can right click to cancel it or left click to shoot it. It does have a limited time on it though, so you've got to fire it out within a couple of seconds. If you fire that out, you will get some bonus damage on that auto, and it will also cripple your target. Cripples prevent the enemy from using movement abilities. So if I dash out on this Getaway and I cripple him, I will prevent him from using his dash, not his ultimate, because his ultimate is CC immune.
Time to save this city.
So right now, he actually couldn't use that dash for just a second, so he had to wait for that cripple to run off him. Keep in mind that this ability does take an arrow. So if you watch my quiver, I'm at a 3 and I'm at a 1, and it takes an arrow. If you don't have any arrows, this ability cannot proc. So sometimes you'll like roll out into somebody and you'll be like, oh my goodness, they should have been crippled. How did they use that getaway skill? Boom, right there you see no bonus damage, no cripple, no nothing, because I did not have any arrows built up. This is probably the most common mistake I see with Rama, is people just not understanding that their 3 does actually need an arrow to get that effect off. Another reason why picking up arrows is very important. Our second ability, which we grabbed at level 3 for the fight, but you can also get it at level 4 standardly. I just grabbed it at level 3 because we had that little early game engagement. This is going to be your big self buff. This is going to give you a bunch of attack speed, ladies and gentlemen. Attack speed increase of 30 to 50% for 5 seconds. You focus your mind, you gain a bunch of increased attack speed, and while this buff is active, every third successful hit on an enemy god will immediately generate an astral arrow. So this also helps you build back up some of your arrows while you're in mid-combat, so you can keep utilizing those arrows and the bonus damage that they get you. So each arrow right now is giving me 40 bonus damage. That is huge bonus damage. You can see it getting a bunch of those procs off. We're gonna back up. We're gonna start working on our boots and get a couple of wards to put out into the jungle. Finally on Rama, what makes him one of the most fun hunters in the game and one of the most awkward hunters to miss your ultimate on. This is going to launch you up into the air. There's a small channel time where you will be CC immune, and you launch up into the air, and then you will get 3 shots that you fire down, basically like a giant artillery shot. Your first shot will be the largest shot and do the least damage. Then your middle shot will be a middle-sized, middle damage, and finally your last shot will be the smallest, hardest to hit, but also do the most damage. So you can see 70, 85%, 100% of damage, but decreasing in AoE size 15, 10, and 7.5. Now, a fun little interaction with his ulti, ever since they did those small Rama changes, is Rama's ultimate actually lowers itself in cooldown from your astral arrows. So whenever you pick up an astral arrow or generate an astral arrow, your ultimate cooldown is reduced by 0.4 seconds. So you've got a way, kind of like a little mini game, to build up your arrows in order to keep the cooldown lowering on your ultimate. This also means that you can get away with using your ultimate a little bit more aggressive on Rama than maybe some other hunters, because you can build it up and get it back off of cooldown a little bit faster than other hunters without even having to worry about building any CDR. I'm gonna go aggressively over here on the left-hand side. We see the Cuckoo is down, so I'm just gonna put some pressure onto this Getaway, just gonna get damage onto him, and then I'm just gonna start attacking the wave. I gotta be a little careful here. I'm just gonna go up into the air and get some nice poke here on the Getaway. Gonna hit him with 2 of my snipes. You can see the first one hit him, the second one hit him, and then the third one missed. And then he popped his beads in order to get away with the Kuzmo. Now, Jingwei is gonna fly right back in at full HP. So I'm gonna get myself backed up and out of here, go get my boots, and then head on back. So on Rama this game, we are going to go in attack speed focus build. There was not going to be crit in this build. They've got a Vamana, who's going to be quite tanky. They've got a Nike, who's going to be tanky. Pele is always liable to go hybrid. So I'm going to go a more team fight oriented attack speed non-crit build. I truly think that crit is always a viable option that you should keep your mind out for, but you really want to build crit against squishy compositions, and they've got a fairly frontline bruisery team. So we're going to go a little bit more attack speed and things like Kins. So I'm going to roll out into this Jingwei, hit him with the cripple. You can see he can't dash away, so he's got to wait on that dash, and he forced to use his ultimate to get out of here. You can play pretty aggressive on Rama in that regard. I'm waiting for this Nike to jump. He's not going to. He's just going to use his one, so I'm going to try to roll out of that one range as much as I can. I'm actually going to turn around on him, though, try to get some damage off. Going to try to preemptively beads on this. Pele is continuing her dive. I'm going to try to get into the air before they can kill me. And then I'm just going to try to run away as fast as I can. And I should be able to live through that little 3-man gank. So, Rama Ultimate, the most straightforward way that you're going to be using this ability is the way that you're thinking. New tech is always you just go ahead, hop into the air, and use it to do some damage. But it's also a great defensive ability, so you can stay for a total of 5 seconds up in the air. Does it say 5 seconds somewhere? Am I making the number up? I'm pretty sure it's 5 seconds in the air. At least it feels like 5 seconds. Maybe somebody can fact check me in the comments at some point. But that means that it's also a great ability to wait up into the air for your teammates to come to you. So instead of just going up into the air and firing your shots immediately, sometimes you can use this ability to hop into the air, chill out, wait for your team to get rotating over to you. Also, if you use your dash before you go up into your ulti, right? Dash to get some movement between you and the enemy. Go up into the air, stay up there for the maximum duration. Your dash will come back down off of cooldown quite quickly. So you can try to take away basically 50% of that CDR waiting time by getting yourself into the air and using it as basically a little cooldown period. So it can be a very good defensive ability. Once again, Jingwei is forced to use her ultimate. So my standard combination here on Rama is I dash into this enemy Jingwei. And then I hit him with that cripple arrow. That cripple arrow makes him panic because he can't use his dash to get away, so he's got to kind of stand there and fight me. And I try to get as much poke on him as I can, try to make him panic as much as I can. That is really unfortunate. I'm going to go into the air. That immediately took my dash away. So you can see right there, I quickly used 2 arrows to get some damage off on Cuckoo, and then I waited a really long time on that third shot to stay in the air as long as I could to try to get my roll cooldown back up. For our official leveling here on Rama, we get our 4 whenever we can. We love to get that ulti for the extra damage. We max out our 1, then we max out our 2 for the increased attack speed. Finally getting ourselves our 3 at the very end. The reason why you don't rank up the 3 first, it does give you extra bonus damage and stuff, and that's great, and you're going to love to have it ranked up for aggression at the end of the game. But at the end of the day, it is your getaway skill, and you can always be using your 2 offensively, and it also reduces the cooldown on that ability as well. So that is 4, 1, 2, 3 on the level order for Rama. So we've got our Hunter's Blessing all stacked up, our Diva Gloves all stacked up, our attack speed boots. Our third item this game, I'm going to go right into a Kins. This team is very liable to build a bunch of HP. So I'm going to go into the Kins. You can see Nike already has a sledge. So I'm going to get a bunch of damage off that. And honestly, Kins is just a great item overall. And if you're building an attack speed build, of which I am, Kins is simply mandatory in the damage department. Going to give you that extra damage on every single auto, and if I pop my 2, I'm already at 2.19 attack speed. 2.5 attack speed is that cap, so I'm gonna get a lot of effectiveness out of an early Kins this game. Gooby's heading over towards the Gold Fury. Gooby and Rama can burn an objective, so I'm just gonna sit here auto-attacking his brains out while Gooby ultis it, bada bing, bada boom, and now I can back up and get myself a full Kins. After I grab this Kins, I'm going to immediately start working on Atalanta's bow. I'm going to need some penetration coming online. Atalanta's bow recently received a pretty small nerf. Nothing you should be concerned about as a hunter player. It is still objectively one of the best items in the game, particularly, of course, for providing percentage pen. So there's no reason for you not to grab this item as your percentage pen item on your hunters. So we'll be grabbing that 4th. You can grab Atalanta's 3rd and Kins 4th if you like. But Kins in general is going to provide you more damage in this 1v1 against my Getaway than something like an Atalanta's bow is going to provide, because she's not going to be building defenses, so I'd rather just have the raw damage output.
An enemy has been slain.
My number 1 focus in the duo lane, of course, is just grabbing as much farm as I can, trying not to fall behind. You'll find that in general, you fall behind in farm against Jingweis in the duo lane. This is because of her passive. As a Jingwei, you should hopefully always find yourself in a XP lead, because you can back to base and then fly into a back cam. You can back to base and then fly into the wave. You should never really be missing out on any XP. Even if you die, you should often find yourself in an advantageous XP position because of her passive ability to fly in. Speaking of passive abilities to fly in, I'm about to get rotated on by Pele, but I'm gonna try to get a lot of damage off first. Gotta pop that Aegis to try to live. Start dashing away. I'm just gonna see if I can't finish the Pele. I'm not gonna be able to. Unfortunately, Kuzenbo was coming around and the Arachne was coming around. But unfortunately, if I stopped using my auto attacks for the lifesteal, I was gonna die, so there was no time really to get into the ulti. But we are gonna be able to force the Jingwei beads, Aegis, a lot of active there, but they did get a nice 4-man rotation. Gonna continue working on that Atalanta's bow and get ourselves a couple more wards. For our matchups on Rama, Rama is a very late game oriented hunter. So he can tend to struggle against early game fighting gods. I would say the number 1 trouble that you often find on Rama is going to be Anher. Anher also recently just got buffed as well, making his jump a lot faster. Anher's got a ton of fight potential in the early game. He can pillar you off. He can stun you into the wall. His ultimate is great, straight into you damage. You certainly can't go into your ulti as Rama when you're fighting Anher without a lot of distance between you, because he can just channel his ulti and then you're standing still for that half a second. You're going to take all the spears to the face. So I would be careful against those early game fight-oriented hunters, because they're going to try to bring the fight right onto you. On Rama, you're really looking to get into the mid to late game in those team fights. That's where you really start to thrive with all of your ability to do damage AoE in your natural stim that just channels so well into the ultra late game. Gonna go pick up my purple buff. So you got to be careful against Anher. Another god you got to be careful against is Cupid. Cupid is extremely annoying because your only way to get out of Cupid ulti is going to be to use your own ulti, which means you're standing still, which means you're going to be very susceptible to getting a free heart bomb on you. You can see this kind of theme of this early aggression, so watch out for those guys that want to fight you in the early game. Outside of that, you shouldn't really have too much problem. Once you get into the mid game, that is really where you're going to start to thrive, even against other late game hunters. Rama just loves to be in those team fights, getting out as much damage as possible.
Middle tower is under attack.
In general, for team comps, the things you want to be careful about is, as a hunter, you've always got to be careful about reflect damage. This means that Kuzenbo is always going to be annoying for you. If you see a Kuzenbo on the enemy team, it means you instantly cannot build crit. So get yourself into an attack speed build like the one that we are running.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Nike is very annoying because she's got the ability to body block your auto attacks, right? You saw it in the early game. He was using his 2 to stop me from using my autos to clear the wave. Stuff like that's going to be very annoying. And of course, generically, things like disarms are going to be problematic for you. Gods like Bologna that just disarm your brains out, and then you literally can't attack at all. All the general hunter problems, Rama is no exception to that. Gold Fury is going to be spawning soon, so we should be trying to get ourselves set up there near that Gold Fury. Okay, there's a Pele right on my face. That is her ulti. She has used a lot on me. I'm just sitting up in the air as long as life will let me. Gonna try to get away from the Jingwei. Not gonna be able to, but we do stay in the air long enough for Gooby to rotate over. In turn, what easily could have been a 0 for nothing trade, or a 1 for nothing trade, into a 1 for 1 trade. We got the Pele off of that. A lot of times on Rama, you're going to find, particularly in the laning phase, you are using that ultimate as a defensive ability just to wait in the air for your team to get to you. So now this is where the build's going to get a little spicy, a little fun. We are going to go right into a Silver Branch Bow. Because we've got so much attack speed in this build, we wanted to build it right all up for the Kins, and we've got a giant stim on our 2. We're going to be building a Silver Branch Bow to give us some bonus power on top of all of that power that we are already going to have, and it's going to give us another 10% physical penetration against this tankier team. So we're going to have 30% penetration on top of the Kins countering their HP, so we are going to melt through tanks, and every time we pop our 2, get that stim effect, we're going to get a bunch of bonus power. So while we're going to have a harder time fighting into the Jingwei, you can see the Jingwei went crit, meaning that my 1v1 fights against her are going to be nearly impossible. In a team fight situation, I should have my Kuzenbo right on him, and my Kuzenbo is going to be absolutely detrimental to this Jingwei. Because she built crit, she's going to be embracing the pain if he runs at her with his shell activated, and he also has a Thorns actually on top of that. You saw the kind of damage output that we had there onto the Nike. She's got the tankier build. The tankier build just has absolutely no chance against this counter tank build. So my job in these team fights, of course, if we are just fighting generically in a team fight, my job is to kill whatever is in front of me. As a hunter, that is standardly going to be their front line. Chances are you're going to be getting run down this game by a Vamana, by a Nike, by a Pele. So I'm trying to counter build to get them out of my way. If we're over by a Gold Fury, over by a Fire Giant, a Phoenix, my goal, first and foremost, is to try to get the objective down. As long as I'm in a safe spot and I can attack the Phoenix, well, by golly, I should be in a safe spot attacking the Phoenix. It's less important for me to get a little bit of damage off in those fights compared to simply burning down the objective. Now, do be careful if you're around the Fire Giant and you're doing it and your team is trying to bait. You don't want to get the Fire Giant down too low when you're trying to bait and then accidentally lose the Fire Giant because you were burning it so well. We're going to be able to back up here, get our Silver Branch Bow as well as a Sentry Ward, and it's about time where I need to start rotating around the map. Pele's going to be able to come over and pretty much pound me into the floor here at level 20, so I need to be around my team for the peel. If my Arachne is going to go for a gank on Jingwei, though, I would like to try to be there to help him. I'm gonna roll out into the jungle. There is a Pele here. I'm gonna ulti up just to get some poke onto this Pele before she ultis over to my Arachne. I get him down to about half HP. I don't know if that's gonna be enough to help him out. It is not. Tried to snipe him just as many times as I could, so that way he had the opportunity to potentially go for that turnaround fight right there, but he was too low from the Jingwei. We are level 20. We've got a lot of damage. We got a lot of pen, a lot of good things. Now that I've got my silver branch bow, you can see that I'm at 2.46 attack speed. If I pop my 2, I'm gonna get bonus 21 power currently, and we're not even near our full build yet. As long as we get grouped up right now, we should be in a decent position. Jingwei does not have her ultimate. Nike is getting absolutely deleted off the planet. We're going to be able to burn that Jingwei. I'm dashing on in, and we should head over towards the fire giant. That was a great little team play right there. Good use of CC and frontline. I'm going to throw out aggressive sentries right there. Cuckoo is going to out-secure everybody on our team. So if they start rotating over, we are going to need to fight. So this is one of those situations where I don't want to get the fire too low. We need to just turn this around and go for the fight. Famana is a great target for me. You can see it's just burning right through his ultimate. Turning around for the backline, I'm not going to be able to get close enough to this Cuckoo, so I'm going to go into the air, look for the snipe, land my last 2 snipes over the wall onto the Pele to hopefully get her low enough so she doesn't come into contest. She is coming into contest. I'm going to dash right into him, pop my beads preemptively, and he's going to get forced out once again from the fight. So I'm able to go back in and secure the fire giant. Just like that. Bada bing, bada boom. Now it is time for us to start backing up. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Go to get another item. I'm going to be selling my Hunter's Blessing here. I'm committed to this kind of team fight build. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be grabbing an oboe here, as well as ranking up my beads and grabbing a sentry ward. So oboe is going to give me a bunch of attack speed. It is going to factor in very, very well with my silver branch bow. So now instead of getting that 20 power from silver branch, we're going to be closer to 30 power. And oboe also is going to scale off of our physical power. So oboe gives you 15 damage plus 60% of your total basic attack power in that chain lightning attack that it does, which means if you get a really fast attack speed going, you're going to get way more chain lightnings going, and those chain lightnings are going to be hitting really hard at the end of the game, pretty much regardless of any hunter build that you are running. This build continues to burn through every single tank on their team. I can even combine this with the purple buff, right? I'm pretty much capped on attack speed, but that purple buff, extra attack speed, is going to give me even more power now for my silver branch. So I'm basically getting power from the purple buff. Also, reminder that purple buff does give a reduction of 10 protections, so it is pen. I'm dashing in on the Jingwei. This is actually kind of stupid because she's got crit. She will easily win these fights. But if we can get more people over here, we force the Jingwei ulti, like that's great. We should grab all of these towers all around the map. Our main concern has to be this Pele. He's been kind of running around detrimental. 8-2, he's got the Mantle of Discord, so he can get right up in our face and still be annoying because he can stun us. I'm looking at Famana. I'm going to hit him with the cripple. That was a great grab by Kuzenbo. He's hitting him with the knockups over and over and over and over again. He gets body blocked. Bada bing, bada boom. Famana may be a tanky boy, but not tanky enough to live through this tank shredding build. We're going to shove right up to mid lane. We got 2 dead. My beads are down for 10. I need to be a little careful of this Pele. Popping my 2 to get the extra damage on this mid Phoenix. We should head over to left Phoenix. Got my Aegis at the ready in case Pele blinks on me to get through it. Gonna use my 1 to get a little bit of extra damage on this Phoenix with my astral arrows. And now it's time to turn this fight around. I am dashing in on the Nike for the extra damage. I'm popping my Aegis because I got a Jingwei on me in the backline that I am very concerned about right now. Going into the air, trying to see if I can't finish him. 1 snipe is good. 2 snipe is not good. 3 snipe is gonna be good though. What I did right there as well, I held my sniping a little bit You can see I wasn't doing it as fast as possible. I was trying to hold it just a little bit, so that way the Jingwei was trying to dodge my snipes, which let my team get in range of the Jingwei. Because he was doing a little side to side, a little backwards, he couldn't run in a straight line trying to get back to his fountain, thus allowing my Ymir to get in range of the wall in order to get the kill on the Jingwei and allowing us to end the game. At the end of that build there, we would have been selling our boots, and as the 6th item on Hunter, the world is before you guys. You really have a lot of options. In this build, I wouldn't recommend just like grabbing a one-off crit item. It wouldn't really do anything for you there. It's a little bit too late in the game. It's not like you're going to stack up a rage or something and get a one-off crit. So instead, what I would have done is I would have sold my boots. I would have either gotten something with a lot of attack speed just to continue to stack up on my silver branch bow, but more likely I probably would have simply gotten something with some more lifesteal, like an Aussie. Aussie would pair well because you'd get the lifesteal, plus you would so you get a little bit of damage, a little bit of flat pen, all that good stuff, factors in the silver branch. Or you can always grab a blood forge at the end of the game on a hunter, especially if you're feeling yourself and you're kind of snowballing. That blood forge Atalanta's proc at the same time, if you get a kill on target, can really let you gas pedal through the end of a fight, guys. And that is our Rama.